I am Tsepo Pule, a husband of one and father of two. For years, my identity had been tied to what I do for a living until the year 2020 when everything fell apart. Hashtag COVID-19. Almost 5 years ago, I became a father for the first time, and I thought I was ready. Looking down at my son's chubby cheeks, my heart filled with pure joy and trepidation, seeing my exhausted wife on the bed after a water birth, I vowed to be the best father ever. It turns out, I wasn't entirely ready to be the best father ever. I had not prepared accordingly for the different stages in my life, career, marriage, and parenting. I have since lost my job, and therefore have chosen to be fully focused on what's important to me. I'm doing right by my vow, and I'm hoping to foster a community of fathers that share similar values. Welcome to the Timer's Playbook, a podcast series on fatherhood, proudly produced by 1730 Media. My guest on today's show is Gani Mhlanga. Moses and I have known each other for a minute. We grew up together at Soweto. We tried as best we could with the information we had at the time to navigate the different stages of life. From high school, university, the first job, and the parties. When my wife and I decided to break free and rent out our first flat, Mo was there to help us move. He was at the hospital the exact moment that my wife gave birth to our firstborn. As fate would have it, Mo asked me to be his best man at his wedding. Now, we are both fathers, and I thought it's time we had a conversation about fatherhood, something we've never done before since his son was first born about 3 years ago. And he has always wanted to be a dad by age 35. Dude, why did you want to be a dad by 35?
I guess it's one of those things where you just put milestones in your life, you know, and I felt like at that age, I would be ready for it. I would be able to be better informed, you know, at that age, because I feel like at the 20s, you're still trying to get yourself to that, you know. But other people might have different views, but I feel that between 30, 35.
Is there something about fatherhood specifically? Like, do you think it's instinct, or do you think it's maybe socialization? At some point we must have children.
I think it's instinct. For me, it's something that I wanted. Socially, I've got nothing to do with it. Socially, it's just, you know, expectations from parents, friends, colleagues, whatever. But me as a person, I made it an instinct to say, listen, I want to be a father at a certain age. And I actually want to be part of somebody else's life, you know? So having a child, I think, yeah, that was my ultimate.
Now you have a 3-year-old and one on the way. How's your home life?
Well, you know, it hasn't changed much, you know. It's just that, you know, your wife now, she's pregnant, it's all hormones and all of that, you know.
Well, tell me more about that. Like, what are some of the things specifically that are either changing or you're discovering?
Hey, I'm discovering that I have to buy more junk now.
So, like what kind?
Oh, like she wants cake, you know, things she never used to actually like. She now has a sweet tooth like I do, you know. Hey, bro. So now sometimes you might find out, like at one stage she'll want something like while you're driving and stuff. Now you must go and fetch it. Can't come back home without it. You see, so it's those things, you know. And then obviously now you're doing checkups, you know, just to take these prego calls, whatever it is, you know, all that stuff. So, and the mood also changes sometimes, you know. Like it's in the morning she might be, hey, don't touch me, leave me alone, stuff like that, you know. And then some days she'll be happy, you know. So it's one of those things that you gotta deal with, man. Yeah, we can't run away from it.
Your son, your 3-year-old, who do you think he takes after, personality-wise?
Maybe, I think a bit of both, because my son is very quiet like I am, you know. And then he's very feisty like mom, you know. So I think a bit of both, because certain things what he does, you know, it reminds me of me being when I was a young child, when my mom tells me, you know, like, good day, man, you used to do this a lot. Then I'll be like, oh, I used to talk a lot. Okay, I don't see that now. But anyway, but those kind of things, I think personality is taken from myself and my wife, but mostly from my wife.
Yeah. So as a dad, what do you think is your primary responsibility towards your family?
Provide support, always be there, I think, and give them that love. It's your son and your wife, I think that's the primary reasons that you're actually being a dad.
In terms of parenting, who would you say is the primary parent, or is it a dual thing with you guys?
It's a dual thing. Yeah, I've got no doubt. We both play our part differently, and I think kids need that.
And then what kind of different parts do you guys play?
Well, it's like, he likes me. He likes it when I feed him, one of the things. And then when I put him to bed, he falls asleep. I think it's different. Like sometimes I read to him, and then my wife reads to him. So it's just differently, I play outside with him a lot, which he enjoys big time. I try to take him out, stop watching TV, which we try to balance things out.
And then how did you come to that determination? Like, how did you guys decide on how you're going to parent?
That, to be honest, it was a trial thing. We just kept on doing stuff. And then in the end, everything just worked. Like, we didn't have a strategy to say, look, you're going to do this. Nah, we just went in, and then we just polished up where we need to polish it.
So how did you prepare? Because I've heard people read books. And did you speak to your mom, other people, uncles? Nothing. Nah, you didn't even read one book.
Nah, I didn't even read one book about fatherhood.
About parenting.
Nix.
So how do you know? What do you gauge? Because when we spoke earlier, you said that sometimes you're not sure if you're doing this correctly, right? That's one of your biggest concerns. How do you know then? Like, what do you gauge to say, okay, cool, I think I'm on the right track?
It depends, I think, on his reaction, actually, and certain things that he does, his body language, how he communicates. Because right now, my child can't speak properly, so whatever gibberish he speaks, sometimes as a parent, you get used to when he's saying this, you like click and say, okay, this guy wants this, So I think in that way, it helped me. It helped us actually, getting him to actually try and express himself. Yeah, it's either asking for the stuff or needing to do something, So that's one thing that actually helped.
What are your thoughts on his lack of communication? Like, is it something that worries you, or are you cool? Like, it's just age?
Yeah, I know. That worries us a lot because he didn't actually go to creche for like a year and a half because he had TB.
Okay.
So he missed like 1.5 years of creche. So that obviously had a toll on his speech, interaction with kids and stuff like that. So, but
how did he? I didn't know that kids could get TB.
Our helper had TB.
Okay.
Yeah, and she passed it on to him.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So obviously they take the TB treatment for 6 months, but his didn't go well, so he had to stay on it for another 6 months, and then another 6 months.
Yo. So how was that period though? Must have been stressful.
It was stressful.
How old was he then?
He was, I think 1 year.
Yeah.
1.5 years, because when he turned 3, like maybe 2 months before, that's when he finished his medication, his whole course.
Yeah.
So it was kind of stressful, And as parents, you worry because your child is not speaking.
He's not developing.
He's not developing. Yeah. So you read, you do all this stuff, try and help him, but he needs that development of other kids. And obvious, there's no creche that will accept a child with TB, man.
Yo.
See?
And I'm going to pressure, very obvious. I mean, even with me, right? And it's hard because sometimes you have to think, how do you hold yourself back? Because every parent, by the way, thinks their child is a superstar.
That's kind of.
So it's for any pressure, Nati. Like you go, you talk to parents, you say, oh, my kid is doing this, my kid is doing that. And you're like, oh, how come my kid is not doing that or this or that? But you have to give them time to develop. But in your case, it's a difficult thing because...
You know, I had to actually sit down with my wife and say, look, because she was very worried that Luanda can't speak now, you know, other kids at 3 are speaking and stuff like they would express. And I had to sit it down and say, look, our child didn't go to school for like a year and a half. I'm not putting it as an excuse, but I'm just saying that we need to take that into account because he didn't have that kind of interaction for a year and a half, you know. So remember, he was like, we took him at like 2 years to start crash. And then from there, like maybe 2 months, 3 months in, he had TB.
Yeah.
So
we had to pull him out.
We had to pull him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd actually we had a serious sit down. We did discuss about it, and then that's how I had to actually calm it down. To be honest.
Yeah. So for someone listening to this conversation now, what would you say was some of the biggest lessons? So if there was an expectant dad listening or parents that you learned when you have a sick child like that, what would you say? How do you approach the situation? What did you learn from it? How would you do it differently next time, or would it be the same?
I think we can always do things differently. The mere problem would be expectations on us as parents. I think if you manage that, you know, and then as you go along, you'll get answers on how to better treat or like speak to him or get him adapted, you know, so that his speech, his motions and everything else can actually improve. You know, I can say, firstly, speak to your wife, your partner first, so that you guys are on the same page, where you can both know, listen, our child cannot do this right now because of this, you know. Let's just support him any way we can. Then you can probably read about it, which we did. Read about it, how to get him better and all of that, and then how to actually carry on with the schoolwork a bit, you know what I mean? Get him to play outside so that the kids, because when you have TB, you need that oxygen. You know, going outside is very important. So we had to learn. We learned. We learned to live with the situation we have. We read about it. We got more info, and that's how we went. And if I could say we can do anything differently, is maybe, I don't know, boost his immune system even more. Because right now, you know, even now, it's 3 years. When you send your child outside without shoes on, you know, it's always a problem. So like you're always stressing, like, he's gonna get sick again, you know. So,
but for all intents and purposes, he's good now. He's stronger. Well, last time I saw him, he looked.
He's very hyper now.
Yeah.
I think it's all his meds he's been taking.
That's good. Give him more. No, that's the way, Chief. That's the way. Cool, man. So I've got some context into the background. I just want to take a segue into another situation about life. So obviously, as a father, the ability to look after your family, like you're saying, your biggest thing is to provide, is obviously finances. What were your parents' views or attitude towards money?
I remember, man, I'm a last born, so, geez, my dad was like 78. So my dad was old.
How many siblings do you have?
I think my dad would have been like 96, 97 right now.
Yeah, and how many siblings? Okay, too many.
Yeah, too many, man.
Yeah, okay, so your dad was... Hold on. Your pop was 76, 78 when you were born.
Yeah.
Are you strong, Muslim?
Hey, my dad, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. And
which is another dynamic on its own, right?
It is, man. It is. Because, you know, at that age, and like he died when I was in my teens, like, early teens. So you couldn't have those kind of deep conversations with him. I wouldn't know. Like,
you never spoke about money.
No.
And with your mom?
He actually I think he touched base. I could put it that way.
Yeah,
just
base.
To touch base on it. Yeah, not to speak, but investing
that's a very
and all of
corporate
that.
term.
Yeah,
Touch base.
And my mom, since my dad died, she just became so independent, and we don't even go to that subject. Okay. It's only when she wants money,
Okay, so Maukula, like, I'll make you an example. Like with me, like Mankula, like money. My mother, because obviously my dad was never around, single mom. It was always good to malaiko. Oh, that's how I grew up about money. Money is scarce. Don't ask for money. Don't ask for things. Yabo. So like with you, like when you wanted something, what did you do? You go to your siblings, or because obviously your siblings, I assume then were a lot older, and at the time some were working. Yabo. What did you do like when these conversations come up about money, or you wanting something as a kid?
Mostly because I grew up a lot with my sisters. I literally had to work for whatever money I wanted, or even if it's I wasn't a person who must sneak his none at the time. Even today, like,
yeah, no, you're not.
I know I'm not. So what I used to do, like, was to actually get like jobs to do during the week holidays,
okay,
and stuff like
that. So from what age did you start working, and what kind of jobs?
I think when I was probably 14, 13, I'd wash cars, like when our relatives come through. Or if I go to the relatives' houses, I'll actually wash their cars, pocket money. I would during holidays, if I look after their homes as well, that's pocket money. So it is one of those things.
Okay, so you managed to, within your family, because you got a big family.
Yeah.
So you managed to, let me hustle around these people, so that I can get the extras that I wanted.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But with big things like my sisters or my mom
would sort it out. But you've never had a conversation about money, like officially?
No.
Okay. No. We'll come back to that. Now, with you not having like had full-time employment for, is it almost 2 years now, ne? Or 2+ years? How has that situation been financially, and how are you guys managing it with the wife? What kind of conversations are you having?
So obviously now she's the breadwinner, let's put it like that. So when this happened, we actually sat down and said, look, certain things, lifestyle had to change, obviously. You can't be doing all those things you used to do.
Things like what?
Things like going out maybe twice a week.
Okay.
Or 3 times a week, getting yourself certain things, good thing was that early beginning stages of it, when I see that this is coming, I said, look, this is what's going to happen in a couple of months, well, obviously you try and look for a job, you get this job, work for a certain time, you get this, work for a certain time, but you don't have a permanent job, put it like that. So we had to actually sit down and look at our expenses, first of all. Look at our expenses, look what we cut on, look where we can actually save money as well. So luckily we had that conversation, and then things just carried on from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if money wasn't the issue, what's the one thing you'd like to get for your kid?
Yeah, I can't buy wisdom. I never thought about that, Because the basic things like education and him giving when one thing that I want though is for him, when he's graduated from university, I want him to have a place to stay of his own, and a car, you know, I want to give him that head start to say, my boy, these are the two things I'm going to give you in life to start with. The rest you do for yourself. I gave you a big head start because houses, property is expensive now. You know, cars are expensive too, you know. So all he needs to worry about is taking himself forward. So I think for me, those would be the biggest things right now. Like if money wasn't a problem, just do that for him. And then who's us born?
Yeah, so that's more future planning.
Yeah,
right? So
that's more future planning.
Yeah, and the reason for that is obviously like in South Africa, number one, well, Joburg, it's hard to navigate Johannesburg without a vehicle. It's almost impossible because public transport, cars are expensive. Public transport is non-existent. It's there, but it's not as it should be. But I'm hoping that actually these guys, like at that time, I'm hoping that things have changed. Yeah, like I want to live in a city where our kids don't need to buy vehicles that are expensive that they can't afford, because that's what creates the problem, you know, especially for us, because at that time you didn't know. I mean, if you you have to go work in Sandton, first job you have, what do? Like you spend 2 hours in transport, spend money, or do you buy a car, or do you buy a flat? Do you invest? And people end up buying cars because they need to move around. And then eventually you get into this perpetual cycle of debt because you're not going to get a simple car. It depends on how sensible you are. But again, remember, a lot of us didn't have, like for me, I've never had a conversation about money. Everything I've learned about money, I Googled, and I only learned it like when there was harsh lessons. Because when things were nice, you don't think, okay, cool, it's in lungisela. Like when you're like, oh, there's no work. Oh, now what? Okay, cool. No, that's great, man. And in terms of money lessons, if your son was of age, what would you want them to, and well, the other one is coming also. What would you want your kids to know about money?
I want them to know how to save wisely. I don't mean saving, putting money in the bank and let it stay there. No. I mean in investing money. Yeah. I think that's biggest thing that I want him to learn is that, because I feel like I would have done things differently, you know, if I knew what I didn't know. Yeah, what I do know now. Yeah. You know, so I want him to know that first, like, and I don't want his life to evolve around money, man. You know, once your life revolves around money, there's certain things that you forget about. Yeah. You know. So what would you want him to understand? So let's go with that thought for a bit. If you say you don't want his life to revolve around money, and then he says, okay, but Dad, what do you mean? So what I mean is, when you get money, you need to know how to spend and save money and invest money. So whatever amount you're getting, you must just know that scenario that you need to spend some of it, obviously, because you can't live without food, you know, can't live without transportation or anything like that. So if he learns how to save, invest, and spend wisely, then those are the three things. Yeah.
One of the things that I think about a lot is, you know, there's this notion of, we tell kids that you can be anything you want. You can do anything you want.
Structured.
But we are not doing the things we want. So I really want to lead by example in that sense. So if my kid were to turn around and say, Dad, have you been living the life you want? Because we were told as kids that our parents just had to, not even told, but you saw it, they had to struggle to suffer just so that we can have what we have. And I'm extremely grateful for that. But now we can do different. Yeah? Would you say then you're living the life that you had envisioned for yourself by this time? And if not, or if yes, why is that?
Well, I'll say I am mostly because I've kind of accomplished what I wanted to accomplish at a certain age. Everything that I actually wanted is actually happening, and I'm living it now, regardless of the fact that I'm unemployed. But everything else that I envisioned, I actually have it. So I know I could do certain things better, but I've done okay.
What things could you do better?
Spending less on the wedding.
That's too late.
Guy.
So what do you say? The ones that are thinking of marriage.
Guys, first of all, like, you can have that conversation with your partner and say, listen, this is, lobola needs to cap it this much, certain things need to cap it this much. Masofika lapha and I'm fit. Aye, dude, everything changes. Yeah. There was a point when I said, I was like, you know what, they can keep their pride.
For people that don't understand the context, so in African cultures, or our cultures anyways, there's lobola, right, which is the dowry, which is like a vote of thanks to the family for raising the bride, but it's money that you pay. The future husband pays. And then you have two weddings. A white wedding, which is supposed to be suits and tie, and a traditional wedding. So there's two events in J, but in between that, there's other things too. We had when I said to her, okay, we're going to get married at this certain time and stuff like that. What wedding are we doing? She said traditional. Dude, negotiations started with the family. Family's like, this is our first daughter. We want her to have a white wedding. Budget changes, boss. Changes. Yeah. No, I hear you. One day I'm gonna have another conversation about that, because my problem when it comes to ilobola and that is, once money is a factor, even though I understand the principles behind ilobola and why we're doing it, I'm happy to do it. However, once money is involved and other uncles and whomever who don't know your situation, don't care, now it looks like their daughter is a prize now, and they try to evaluate it at a certain point, and you're like, but that doesn't even make sense. Like, how do you get to the amount? Because surely the amount should be just a thanks from your pocket of what you can afford. Exactly. So what if you can't afford it? Then I'm told.
Well, it would depend on them. Because my congregation, let me put it like that went to a house, they actually stood up and left. Yeah. Then as they're about to leave the gate, and then they call them back. Hey, Buyani, what did Yeah. So because they called me. Living unreasonable. Yeah, living unreasonable. Yeah, and they called me and I said, they can keep their daughter. Yeah.
No, I can understand that. I don't think that's right.
No, it's not, man. We must just change it. I don't know how we're going to change it, but because I rather give them a head start, to say, look here, let me take an instant with my son. When he says, Dad, I want to get married, I'll say, okay, my boy, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to buy you guys a house where you guys will stay in. And then you already have a car. So that is my head start. Yeah, everything else, you do it. So I think as Mantabamnyam or whatever religion, whatever race, if they do that kind of stuff, I think if you do it that way, it's different than that money that you just give, like, poor guy,
So you're saying use the money wisely?
Use the money wisely, man.
As the father, you're spending hundreds of thousands on the way.
You know what? Look, and they tell you that, no, this thing is for the dress and the day of the occasion where Ninabam Kunyana come to the wife's house. Those things, they can just come out from your pocket as a parent, because you are actually welcoming umuntu into your house or whatever it is. I think that's a parent's thing, man. The guy must actually pay for that as well.
No, I agree. No, everything has to be negotiated, So I think I'm fortunate because I have a great relationship with the in-laws, and we've been together for a while. So my thing is always like, let's talk about this, let's negotiate it. Even me, when they started, I was like, I can't go, because at that time, I couldn't physically go past beyond a certain point. Like, I can't. So what I must mean, there's I'm a loan with lobola. I must go take a loan for lobola. So already nje must get him shut to in. It's not dead. Already. Talking about religion and ancestors, you say that you believe in both. And in your head, how do those two worlds coexist? Because I know that your family is like proper religious, Christian.
Yeah, and proper ancestral too. Okay. So
there's no conflict, like.
No, obviously there are certain conflicts where you as a person, you have to make up your mind and say, okay, this is what I believe I'll go through in. It's like Mautandas. How I pray. I pray to God, and I pray that God looks after my ancestors as well. Okay. Yeah. So, Abayaman are different. They pray to God, and then they pray directly to the ancestors. Okay. Yeah. I go through God.
Oh, you've combined it. Yeah. Okay, so your first point of call is God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I ask God to bless my ancestors as well.
Okay. Yeah. And you're going to pass it on to your kids?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm going to pass it on to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so talking about that, right, you also feel strongly that kids should learn their mother tongues.
Yeah.
And this is something that I personally struggle with because of our situations. So this is the other consequence of working and then moving to the suburbs and then this, that.
Yes.
So your kids, or my kids, they end up going to schools around here.
Of course.
Which are generally run by white people. There's English-speaking people.
Or Afrikaans.
Mm-hmm. And mother tongue is secondary.
Gone. No, it's not in secondary. It's gone.
Aiko. So my wife now, the school that they've sent them to, Apple Tree Montessori, that's great. She also goes in this song once a week, and then the parents. So it's a very communal type school. Parents, they come, they teach other things, other languages, blah blah blah. I try to keep it.
You must tell us when there's an open day there, man.
No, I'll tell you. You need to check it out. So it's proper. So kids learn everything from piano to yoga, and obviously because of the scenario, they can speak their language, culture, music, hip hop, and all. So it's not a school that's out of my. If I'm trying to be subtle here. So it's not like the one before where it was run by someone from a completely different culture that didn't understand certain things. And in that school, for example, Magnum Sevens, they understand what it is. So those things are important now. So how will you enforce it? Because mother tongue is not just the language, right? It's also the culture. All the things that even you and me missed also, because we didn't really practice it. Only now later you're like, hey, shkana Spani, uncle.
I think right now it's like the language thing, man. He needs to learn English, obviously, because now I'm speaking English, trying to speak English. And how I want to direct this is he needs to, we're obviously speaking English, able to write in English and stuff like that, but I need him to also learn other languages.
Yes.
Learn Zulu, learn S02, learn even whatever. Obviously Afrikaans. But where he is now, strictly English, and then Afrikaans kids there as well, teachers Balasila Afrikaans,
that feels like high school.
Yeah, man, it feels like high school. So the only way he will actually speak or hear it, it's when I interact with him, or the mom interacts with him, or when I take him to my grandma, that's when he goes and interacts in our language. That's the only time. And you look in a week, you can only sometimes you never take him at all. Sometimes you just take him once a week.
And which doesn't help. Yeah, what I've noticed now, but also they also disadvantaged.
You see,
because Mafia and then English is like a different language.
Then it feels awkward.
Yeah.
And then other kids ask you, why is your kid always playing alone? It's like the language thing. It's just a problem.
Yeah.
So,
but I think also part of the challenge, and I know my wife and the lady that runs the school is they trying to work on a model like that for Riskela specifically. But I think also we also need to think maybe about communities.
Yeah.
In these suburbs of ours,
Yeah.
where we are building them, we're owning them, and all these things that are important to us, we are able to do them. Like now in the suburbs, last silicon. I can't wake up and go it's gonna be a huge issue.
Hey. You have to tell your neighbors this is what's happening.
And then even then,
obviously,
it's like, what are you gonna be doing? Or animal cruelty, or yeah. So it becomes, there's an extra complication.
Yeah.
But I think where we are now, what we've learned as fathers, as men, as people, is we can do better, and we can create a different reality for our kids.
Yeah, I guess as you pointed out, community, if you can have those kind of neighbors where that actually will understand, you know, and you also tell them this is what's going to happen on that day before it actually happens, so that they know.
Yeah, well, I think you build it.
You build it.
You build it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, like before, I mean, a while ago, mangs are cool. Because when we grew up, we just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
And just get out and get to the suburbs.
Shower
and then
more.
For some reason, we thought, I was shower more. But also, a big part of what's important to you, which is come full circle. Before, it wasn't, when we were young, going out was nice. Now it's come full circle now.
So you have to balance.
Now you have to balance. And more better, your neighbor this side, your neighbor that side. It's like,
and they don't do this.
Okay, I can't even go next door because it's only one beat.
My risking up.
So I'm saying we build the communities. Then people come in, they buy. So there's ways to do this thing, I guess.
We have to find a way.
Yeah. Obviously, men face a lot of challenges daily, and men have been responsible for a lot of hurt and bullshit around the world, and needless to explain what that is. What do you think we can do better as men?
If we can communicate and reach out to other men better, be it your friends, you cannot, let's say, you can't read everything in anybody's, even if you're friends, you can't read what they're going through, but I think maybe reaching out to them and probably understand where they're coming from, how's their mindset and stuff like that. Yeah, we have friends that have depression, we have friends that suffer all these different things, Reaching out is the biggest thing, us as male, especially because we don't like to hear it from someone outside of your comfort zone. Let's put it like that. Yeah, you always want to hear it inside your circle. Yes, if we can reach out within that circle, the circle will grow bigger. We'll end up reaching a bigger capacity of people.
So it starts with you, obviously, and then your inner circle. So communication is important, openness is important. Taking accountability for things, because sometimes Nati we let certain situations go, and you're flawed, but and we don't tell them. No one tells us, come, you need to check yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need those kind of things as male, because we have a lot of things on our shoulders. Yeah, a lot, in fact, a lot. From the fact to associate. Yeah, first of all, shiyegini sonomuzi wakho somewhere else now on the family yakho, but still into the move us up big way.
Yeah.
See, so we do have a lot of stuff,
Yeah, and that's why I think that connection to your family, to your lineage, ancestry is important, because it gives context. Because once you understand, like you're saying, you don't want your kid to work for money. Once they understand their purpose, who they're from, it gives them grounding and a foundation. So even to go back is not a strain, because now they've labeled this whole thing like black tax. And some situations are extreme, But if you label the entire thing, which you are being text, already it's got a negative connotation.
Big time, fun. And we should lose that word. Like, we should just lose it. Influencer or whatever. You should just lose it because it's not text. You know, your parents, if they tell you their stories, what they had to go through for you to be in that school, hey, you'll cry. Yeah, you'll cry. So it's just them, or you could put it like this. It's you reaching out and giving to them and saying thank you. Yeah. Ndabe black text ayikho bafethu azange bekhona bafethu.
No, mina ngizwana naye. And it's going full circle on it because obviously, like I was saying, it's not to take away, because there's some situations, yes, families do exploit certain people, they take advantage. I'm saying like generally, it's full circle on it. So if my mother was a single mom, worked in a factory to look after all of us, and now I'm in a situation to help, I don't have an issue with that. So nobody's texting me. The fucking government is texting me. They text me a lot.
Fobona uyamnikeza ukubonga abantu bakithi ukubonga.
Legacy. Give me those 3 things then. You remember them. Tools, tricks, habits that we're going to add to this playbook. And then eventually we're going to have a playbook that fathers can just open and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Because remember that community I spoke about. We have to build it.
I stressed spending more time with them, be it playing outside, be it going to eat something together, holding his hand, you know, walking around, taking walks around the neighborhood, you know. And right now I feel like we need a puppy, you know, so that when we do walks, he can actually like hold the puppy with him, you know. Hambinayo, you know, because I feel like he needs more companionship.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
So that is the biggest thing. Spend time with him. Kids love the time you spend with them. Yeah. You ubona mawahamba nje kusini. The motor thatha isikhiya nje. Daddy, where you going?
You must honor that time, eh?
Yeah, Yo. That time is very important.
Because they love you now.
Big time.
We pause, man. Like they love you, kids love you, bro. Until they discover who you are.
Yeah, they don't love you to tell them to finish your food.
No.
Like,
but
they don't do that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like kids, it just amazes me all the time. Like they want to be around you.
Yeah,
they don't want you to leave. Everything they just want, and especially boy kids. Because I don't have girls, so I don't know. But I've got 2 boys, and the boys, everything I do, they want to do.
Exactly.
Everywhere I go, they want to go.
Exactly. And you know, you'll see when you're sitting down, maybe you're watching TV or reading a book or whatever. Like now, makashele couchini, like he'll sit a show 4. And then I'll be like, yes, I'm going You see, so yeah, spend much time as you can with him.
All right, second thing.
Read books to him, be it isiZulu or English or whatever, you know, so that he has that language difference that he hears, you know, ukuthi hey ngikhuluma isiLungu manje ngikhuluma isiZulu ngikhuluma isiSuthu nani yabo. So I think also when you play, even when you watch his cartoons, you know, I wish they'll have more cartoons where there's Zulu speaking Suthu, you know what I mean?
And my answer to that, the only way that's going to happen is if I do it.
Yeah.
Or at least I organize people that can.
Yeah.
So I'm at that point now, like everything that needs to change. If I don't do it, or part of the change, especially with media, because that's my shit.
Yes.
It won't happen.
That's the thing.
You know, you have to follow one.
And ibhlungu kanjani babhala bophi babhala ngathi
ngento yethu by translate bayenze imali
bafethu.
Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
So also communication, obviously now my child can't speak properly. Sazama, you know, is not really there, but he needs to hear ukuthi frustana certain things that he says and stuff like that, you know. So I feel like when you spend more time with him, Fundera and ukhuluma naye, it's I think it's Zulu or Ngesotho or whatever. Now he picks up with that into Ubuaso.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Malafika scale, you'll be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Fago music.
Yeah.
You listen to music.
Hey, yeah,
with him.
I do.
Fagi local.
I'm not. The problem is I listen to metal. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fagi local.
Yeah, but depending on Fagi local radio or something.
Yeah, no, just find music. What I'm noticing with my son is like they really enjoy local hip hop.
That's good.
And obviously Namapiano, that's the big thing now. So back there, TJ when he was born, Gom was the big thing. You know me, I'm a Kwaito guy.
Yeah.
So that's the music that I introduced them to first.
Okay.
Young one.
Yeah.
So other things do come in, but find the local songs that you like.
Yeah.
That's how they learn the words.
Yeah,
like
you're
Bopa.
right. Yeah.
Bopa. I didn't teach him that. But then he'll ask me, Daddy, Bopa, what does it mean? No, I explain. So music, I found music to be 1, 2 to help with especially language, but also culture, dancing, understanding what is inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why about Pegabo, all these nursery rhymes and stuff like that, those things help them.
Yeah. But it also, it's very American.
Yeah.
Bringing other things.
Like I heard him saying, instead of Z, I do Z.
Yeah, Z.
Yeah. Singapore.
Yeah, I know that thing. And Z is gonna take a while to get rid of. Trust me.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So those are the 3 things.
Yeah.
Okay. Moses, fantastic, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Really enjoyed it.
I appreciate your time and good luck with the kid and the new one.
Thank you, man. Next year,
yeah.
When boom.
Is it June?
What? May, June.
Oh, winter babies.
Yeah, winter baby.
No, but good luck, man.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate it.
Brother. In closing, then, these are the 3 things that I'm taking away from this episode. Spend time with your kids outdoors. Read bedtime stories as often as possible. Speak and teach your kids. After all, they're just kids. And remember, we choose to bring kids into our existence. So love unconditionally. It's your duty. Those are your words.
Those are my words, yeah.
Thank you to my guest, Moses Gani Mhlanga, for participating and sharing his story with us. And thank you very much for listening, streaming, or downloading this podcast. The music is by The Highline, Chef Brian, and The Missing 11th. Please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Our Facebook page is 1730 Media. I'll see you in the next episode. Sharp.